Top of the morning to you, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on when you'll be watching this session. Welcome to the lifestyle segment right here at Prime Media TV. I am Ayo, bringing you the conversation right here on the lifestyle segment. As you all know, in this segment, we have conversations around relationship, parenting, and everything at all that has to do with lifestyle. And today, we're centering our conversation on parenting. But before we go into all that we have for you, we'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, we'll dive into the conversation. Please stay with us.
Get it. Oh, how do I get it? Jane, what's wrong? How do you get what? I've been scrolling all day to see where I can get these shoes. Have you tried online vendors? Yes, but I haven't found anyone like it. How about Remy Global Resources? Remy? I'll check it out. If I don't get to see where I can get these shoes, I'll just give up on it. Oh my god, I found it! At Remy Global Resources, this is how we put a smile on the face of our customers. We do not only make you see what you want, we also get it delivered to you at your doorstep. Why wait? Visit remy.com.ng to buy from us today. You can also sell your products on our website. Delivery within Lagos takes only 3 working days. Interstate delivery takes 7 to 14 working days. Contact the number on your screen for more details. Terms and conditions applied.
Welcome back to the show. So here is the conversation. We saw a video online that caught our attention. Even though this video is in a church setting, but we are not limiting the conversation to church setting, because the essence of this show is to sensitize people and help to bring normality back to our society so that people can know what they are doing and know how to go about their day-to-day lives, day-to-day activities in order to make up a better society and to make up a better people. So here is the conversation. We'll be having the video on display so you will see what we are making reference to on how parents can better make sure that their children become more responsible. Let's have the video, then we dive into the conversation.
Because they think it is a woman's job.
What I would say is children are in the home. Whatever you do is what they pick up. If a man does not clean the home, your son is going to do the same to his wife. My father was a neat freak. Whether my mom did it or not, my father picks up the pot sometimes and washes everything clean. We grew up like that. We understood that it is a responsibility for you to keep your house clean, whether your wife does it or not. And if it's the reverse, some men are clean, some women are not. But how do you want your daughter to live in her own home, you know? So whatever you do in your house now is what your children pick up, and it goes generation to generation. So to have in the back of your mind, it's not a wife's duty to keep the house clean. It is not your husband's duty to keep the house clean. It's teamwork.
Please address husbands that don't contribute to household chores because they think it is a woman's job.
What I would say is children are in the home. Whatever you do is what they pick up. If a man does not clean the home, your son is going to do the same to his wife. My father was a neat freak. Whether my mom did it or not, my father picks up the pot sometimes and washes everything clean. We grew up like that. We understood that it is a responsibility for you to keep your house clean, whether your wife does it or not. And if it's the reverse, some men are clean, some women are not. But how do you want your daughter to live in her own home, you know? So whatever you do in your house now is what your children pick up, and it goes generation to generation. So to have in the back of your mind, it's not a wife's duty to keep the house clean. It is not your husband's duty to keep the house clean. It's teamwork.
Please address husbands that don't contribute.
All right, so that is the conversation. And as you all know, I would always have this conversation with someone, and you're welcome to the show. You can introduce yourself to our viewers.
All right, thank you. I am once again Living Treasure.
All right, so as always, he introduced himself last Friday as Living Treasure, and Living Treasure is here with me to have this conversation. So I would like to first, I want us to make this conversation now citing real life experience, because I, for one, I won't connect with a conversation that that is not bettered from experience. I believe in that when people will connect with us more when we cite experiences, real life experiences and real life issues to have this conversation and arrive at a conclusion, because the essence of this is to sensitize people. So I would like to hear your first thoughts on what this woman has said on parenting, because we are majoring this conversation more on parenting. So what were the first thing that came to mind as soon as you saw this video?
You see, this conversation is going to be on two sides.
Okay.
We are going to look at it from the parenting side, and we're going to look at it, or I would like to react to it at the couple side. You know, sometimes when we are considering the parenting side, we are seeing at home where female gender, the guest child are, a kind of obligated to do certain things. Sometimes while the sweeping of the house, washing of dishes is a kind of an assigned duty to the female gender, and it ought not to be so. It ought not to be so, because the same the same female gender do the cooking, or is with mommy in the kitchen while she is cooking, running one errand or the other. The same female gender is expected to do so many things, sometimes go to buy the food stuff and all that. There should be when it has to do with house chores, when we talk about house chores, it involves so many activities. Cleaning of the house, tidying of, making the house a safe place. Sometimes there are some things that could cause or lead to home accidents. So house chores is, taking care of house chores is sometimes you see the male children, even when they know that things are in the wrong position, they feel it's not their responsibility to take it, So it is wrong for parents to infuse this mindset on children that the girl child has to be the one to do the cooking. After cooking, she'll have to be the one to sometimes clear the dining table. She has to be the one to do the washing of the dishes. In the morning after everybody has woken up, the girl child needs to prepare to school, and the male child needs to prepare for school. Now the male child is after morning devotion is going to the bedroom just to start preparing, and the other person will equally go to school, and there will be need to sweep the house. There will be need to wash the dishes. There will be need to do one or two things. So what happens if the male child is doing the work, the cleaning, the sweeping, or if the male child is doing the washing of the dishes while the girl child is doing the sweeping? All right. So this is when it has to do with tidying the house, keeping the house clean. It always requires division of labor. So it is not nothing should be. It should not be seen that you have to be the one to wash the clothes. Younger ones, you have maybe, for example, a family of 6 kids. All right, 6 kids. Just because the other one is the female child she has to be the one to wash the clothes for the younger ones. This thing, you wash for your younger ones. There's clothes for your mother. There's clothes for the dad. Now, who washes the clothes for daddy? At least, if you want to say, okay, the girl child can wash her mom's clothes, let the male child wash his daddy's clothes, because this is equally in house chores. All right. So, what about after the washing? Who does the ironing? So that we are not much in the house, and the workload is weighing somebody down. Somebody is over labored, and we are all one family. So I feel that again, it is there is this when you are working in a team, regardless of how difficult, how hard the task may be, when you are working with people, you don't feel it much. You don't feel it much. If you have heap of clothes here now, and you have to wash it alone, even before you start, you're already tired. When will I finish this washing? No, but when you have somebody, even if it is that you are washing, the person is rinsing it, there is this relief, and both of you are chatting, both of you are maybe gisting, and while the washing is going on, you wouldn't know when you finish it. All right, that is the beauty of should I say division of labor, or should I say call it a joint effort in doing anything. It makes the work to be done fast, and one person will not be overstressed.
Okay. From what you just said, I highlighted culture and gender roles, and I have always been of the opinion that there are certain rules that we obey in this part of the world, and you really cannot point at who exactly made those things into law.
A law.
Who said that the duty of the girls is to be in the kitchen to help mommy to cook? Who said it is the woman's duty to wash the man's clothes? My question has always been that before the man got married, who has been washing the clothes? You have been washing your clothes. So why, there was a time I was passing by somewhere, and a guy was washing, and somebody said, he called the person called the other guy, the person washing, they called his name, and he said, okay, let's say the person's name is Samuel. Said, Samuel, you are washing, you better do and get married so that your wife will be washing your clothes. And something struck in my subconscious. So the duty of the woman after marriage is to come and wash the man's clothes. All of those things that that we do. So then this is it. Who made the law? Who passed all of these things into law? But then I would like that we go on a quick break now. As soon as we get back, we continue with this conversation. Okay, let's continue with the conversation. So all of these laws, okay, let's quickly go on a break. Okay, welcome back to the show. So I was saying something earlier that there are certain laws that we have now in the homes, certain responsibility that has been assigned to certain people. Who made all of those things into law? Nobody. But then I would love to pick it. I would love to pick the conversation from what the woman said. She highlighted the place of the father doing this, and we see that in our modern day society, culture has brainwashed us. Culture would say that men don't cry. Yeah, as an African man, you are caught crying, wahala. You have entered hot pot of soup. And as a African woman, I was listening to somebody yesterday, and the person was saying, I have to cook now. If I don't cook, I'm not feeling too well. But at the same time, I have to cook because if my husband gets back and I don't get to cook this, he will complain and all of that. And in my head, I'm like, who made the law that only the woman has to do the cooking? Especially when you know that this woman is down with her health. There should be the place of assistance. And I know you have always emphasized on teamwork. So now, the question now is that how can we unlearn certain things that we have learned in this part of the world that are not helping us to grow?
Okay.
In marriage, in parenting, how do we unlearn all of these things? Because they are myth, and gradually they have walked into our way of life. We are now living by it as if there is a supreme being that has made this thing into law. So how do we unlearn all these myths before we go into other conversations from this video?
Okay. Before now, I said we are going to look at this, react to that video on the side of the couples now. You see, I want to say that this thing, it begins with wrong mindset. Wrong mindset. I often say that marriage is partnership, and in every partnership, whether in business or in anything, both parties must have shared responsibilities. If there's anything that needs to be done, you must have a part you're playing, and I must have a part. There must be division of labor. Now, just imagine that uh, you are married, we are married. Now, it's just you and I in the house, and the house must be kept clean. We must, so many things must be done in the house. Nothing gets itself to be working. It means that some people are at work. All right. So just like you said, you are working, I am working, and the only thing that is either the woman comes back home first earlier than the man, but the fact remains that both of us are working. Nothing. No, you cited something before you got married. Were you not cooking? Before you got married, you were washing your clothes. All right. Just that now you've come together, and you feel like it should be one person's responsibility. It's a wrong mentality. There is no law, or I don't think it's traditionally in law that the female gender should be the one, or the woman should be the one to do the cooking. For example, now I want to cite myself as an example. I'm a man that loves cooking. I can cook, and I don't think it is wrong or anything will make me now, when I'm married, not to to abandon it because I love doing it. Then on the other hand, you see, there is doing chores together as couples. It enhances connection, intimacy. It brings about there's this saying that family that pray together or that eat together, live together, whatever. When you do chores together with your partner, there is a level of intimacy it brings to the marriage. All right. This even if, like I cited initially, that your wife is washing, and no matter how huge the clothes is, and you are helping in raising, she won't feel that stress, because as both of you are working, there is this conversation going on, laughing, and she won't feel it. All right. Even if it's to sit with her, sometimes the both of you came back from work, the woman is cooking, the man is watching TV. So you cannot help in chopping the vegetable, you cannot help in washing the dishes as she's doing. So it just, first of all, it begins with mindset. And I want to say that though we are going to look at how do we come out of it, just like you asked. It's part of what we should communicate. Communication brings. If you marry a man who does not have this idea, and you know that this thing is draining you, don't keep quiet. Don't keep quiet. As a woman, you notice that, Abba, okay, for example, weekend, we went to church together, we come back home together. This one, at least, both of you came back together. And there is need for cooking in the house. There is need for washing, for cleaning of the house. And somebody just lying down on the bed, pressing phone. I will run around and cook and serve him, clear the table. No. It means when it's not housemaid. So if you notice the idea is not coming to him, communicate it to him.
Well, for me, I've always believed in having, like, from that conversation, I've always believed in proactive planning. You don't wait to begin to experience certain things before you begin to have conversations. And as much as this thing is about parenting, I also like to take it back. Do you know that parents who raise boy children who don't feel the need? Okay, I think there was a day my brother's friend came to the house, and he met him washing his clothes. And I think I was doing something. I was doing some other thing. And he came to me, was like, your brother is washing and you are seated. I was like, excuse you, this is normal thing in my house. This is a normal thing in my house.
And he was speaking from his own experience in his own family.
Till date, my mom washes my clothes when I am occupied. Till date, there's no shared responsibility on who is going to wash the clothes. When the clothes is much and you see that the other person is too busy to do it, you pick it up and do it. My mom wash my clothes, wash my brother's clothes when she sees that we are too busy at that time. And when we see that she's too busy to do something, we don't have this mindset of mommy wash the clothes, mommy does the cooking. Whoever that is available to do what does it at the time that you're available to do it. So now taking it back to having conversation. Okay, back to that guy. So he looked at me, I was like, your brother is washing and you're seated doing something else. I was like, excuse you, this is how we run this home. You can't come and use your own experience to dictate for me. So taking it back, I believe in having conversations. There was a time that I was having conversation with somebody on, I said, the question was, who is going to be doing what when you finally get married? And I was like, what kind of question is that? It took him time to understood what I meant. I said there is need for shared responsibility. Let each and every party involved in this relationship know who is going to be doing what. So are you talking about 50-50 in marriage? I said I'm not talking about 50-50, but there is need. There are times that people get married without knowing who is going to take what responsibility. There are men that they feel like, after all, my wife is working, I bring in the money, she bring in her money, and the woman is coming with the perspective that no, my money is my money. I think we have had this conversation on this show before. So there is need for you to converse on who is going to be doing what, so that situation like this will not arise. Okay, the house is dirty, who is going to clean it? Let each party involved know who is going to be taking up which responsibility. From that conversation, you know each person's strengths. Like you said, you cited an example of yourself that you like to do the cooking. If you do not communicate it with your intending spouse, there is going to be a struggle in the kitchen, because there is this African notion that the woman owns the kitchen. Then if you don't communicate with your intending spouse and she comes home, she wants to be in the kitchen doing the wifely responsibility. Then you, because you are used to cooking for yourself, you are used to having, eating your own meal. You are not used to another person cooking for you. The taste may not be like how you would cook it for by yourself, and the taste and all of that. Now, if you don't have that conversation, and by the time you taste that food, and you're like, this food, it get as a bill, it get as it taste. The other person will now be feeling bad, like, what do you mean that I cannot cook? But when you have that conversation, that okay, I know I'm a cook, but can we combine? Can we join forces together? Then you are going to see it. You are going to there's shared perspective now, that if as much as I know how to cook, I must understand that another person is coming to do this thing for me. It may not be as I would do it for myself, but I must appreciate the fact that this person is doing this thing for me now, and it doesn't stop me from also carrying out that responsibility. But you want to say something?
Yeah. You see, firstly, there is something. Okay, let me. This thing you're saying now take me back to the program that we had there last week, Saturday, on therapy moment, going on a date. All right. You see, when sometimes it is what you have discovered about your partner or intending partner that determines some kind of conversation you go into. Some kind of things you want to discuss with him. And to me, I feel like, when you go into marriage, you might not, our strength certainly varies. All right. So there are men who can cook more than women. So, but if you don't have that responsibility mindset that we are in this thing together, just imagine the time of pregnancy. The woman is pregnant, and it's a big stress. She's pregnant, she's working or she's doing business. She goes out, she come back home, and she still has to do the washing, and the cooking now. And while she's doing this thing, you are, in a parlor watching TV.
Cross the leg.
It's I see that as pure wickedness. I see that as even if you have workers working for you, there is a way you treat them, they won't last with you. There's a way you treat them, regardless of the little money they are getting from you, even when they have opportunity to get some, maybe to work in another, they because of how you treat them, they want to stay with you. Now, so there is a way you treat a woman you call your wife. You know, she will even in the midst of little, she's happy with you. Now, the fact that you can cook, or that, like I started myself, that I can cook, does not mean I'll be dragging the kitchen with the woman. She owns the kitchen. But what I'm saying is that sometimes I can just decide, okay, baby, stay back, let me do this.
Which one be baby?
My woman. Or all right, while you are doing this, let me be doing this. Okay, if I can what stop a man from turning the gari, making the eba? A man can tell some why the woman is, is why she's it makes the work fun. It makes it easily done.
I think you're saying this because you're thoughtful.
And that is why it is important to go to go out with your guy, your intending partner, because from there, the video is like from a godly perspective. The word of God said, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, and by their fruit you shall know them." There is a way your man, the man, even exhibits some character behaviors. You know that if I stay with this man, I need to get this in straight with this man. All right. So, and sometimes maybe when you visit the man, how does he feel? You visit a man, and every time you visit him, the house is always scattered. His bed is never arranged. So you should know that if you enter the house, you are saddled with the responsibility of arranging the bed. Okay, just imagine when kids start coming, both of you woke up from the bed. While you are running, the woman is concerned on preparing the kids to go to school. What happened that the man cannot arrange the bed? Now, why maybe you finish bathing the kids and you are still concerned with preparing food for them? Why can't the man be preparing, dressing them up? So this thing is, and I want to believe that a man who does not have this mindset, first of all, is not prepared for marriage. I shouldn't go into marriage.
Well, I'll pick it up from the part where you mentioned that when kids start coming in. See, for me, because this conversation is about children, I would love to say that for any person who wants to raise children who will be mentally sane, emotionally stable, who will function very well in the society, there is need for you to be intentional about who you are getting married to. Because from that woman said in her home, she grew up seeing her father do dishes, take care of her. The father is a neat freak. So the children grew up with that consciousness. So if you want to have children that are mentally sane, you must be intentional about who you choose to do forever with. You see people, they just want to get married for the now. I just want to marry because my mates are getting married. I want to marry him because he's handsome. I want to marry her because she's beautiful. And you're not looking at it that, is this person sane enough to be the father of my children? Is this woman sane enough? Is she capable of raising the kind of children I envision to raise? For somebody like me, I put a lot of things into cognizance when it comes to relationship. I'm not only looking at the fine guy. I'm looking at this person with the kind of mentality and mindset this person has. Can he raise the kind of children I envision to raise? Can he help me to build the kind of home I want to build? These are the things I put into cognizance, because I, for one, I believe that children will grow effectively in a home that everything is balanced and stable. For instance, yesterday I granted an interview with a psychologist in Kenya, and we were talking about his new book. He wanted to write a book, and the book is centered on the youth. And he was asking that, he said in Kenya currently, the statistics shows that number of children who are raised in broken home is very high. And he was wondering why. And the only response I could give to that is that we have people who have not healed who want to raise children. And, you end up wanting to get healing from the children, from the new husband you are getting married to, from the new woman you are getting married to, when you have not healed yourself. So it boils back to being intentional. Be intentional about the kind of home you want to raise. Be intentional about the kind of children you want to raise. And this intentionality starts with yourself. First of all, I should not expect another person to give me what I cannot give to myself. So if I want to raise children who will see me as a role model, for myself, I must first of all be a role model. So it comes back to the conversation on how we can raise children to become responsible. How can couples look at it? How can I raise children who will be mentally sane in this home? So if you have asked me that, if I had been asked that question, I would say that parents, intending couples, has to be intentional. But I would love to hear from your perspective. How can we raise children who will be mentally sane, even in an insane community, in an insane society as ours today?
You know, there are so many angles to this.
Of course.
You know, when we began this show, you said something. You said, who made this thing that seemed to be like a pattern?
Yeah.
And we discovered that it's not constitutional.
Exactly, because
Alright.
they're just passing it down.
All right, so that is why I target wrong mindset. You know, just like the word of God said that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So every manifestation of humanity begins from here. When you have wrong, you know, first of all, the root of this problem is, I discovered that when it has to do with marriage, people, there are no, so many people go into it without preparation. You know, for you to be called a doctor, you don't just go to school. You must study things relating to health. All right, you don't just come out and say because you're a graduate, you occupy the office of a doctor. All right, so there is preparation for anything. There is this saying that a proper preparation prevents poor performance. That is the problem we have, or the genesis of the problems we are having in parenting and in marriage in general. When people feel like so long you have the money, and sometimes some people have money not because they've actually worked so hard. They are rich, they are successful because of their inheritance. Now, somebody can just be very tall and have cash and is not matured mentally. Psychologically, is not matured. But because maybe, especially in a case where a man is the only son, only child, there is this pressure for grandchildren from him. Now, the people pressurizing this man for grandchildren they don't even know how ready is this person. You know, how prepared, how intentional is him. Now, just because you feel the money is there, you know, marriage is not about the wedding. There are so many flamboyant weddings that never lasted more than 1 year. All right. So, but it is now your knowledge, the wisdom you've acquired, your preparation beforehand that determines how long the marriage can last. That is where we have inability to endure, inability to tolerate. All right. So it begins with the individual going into marriage. Before going into marriage, what knowledge have you acquired? First of all, to be able to manage the woman and to be able to manage children. You know, when you want to establish a company, there should be system in place for workers, you know, and all that. And as the business grows, there should be plan that, okay, as the business grows, staff grows. How do we manage them? If these things are not in place in marriage, it becomes a problem. Because once you get married, that is when you begin to have the need for maybe house help, or sometimes you have the need for relation coming to stay with you. You know, how do you manage the home? How do you manage this person that will come with a very different character? So it begins with the grassroots. I do not believe with the fact that said, I do not totally believe with the fact that children exhibit what they see their parents, you know, do. It is not totally true.
Okay.
It, to an extent, is true, all right, because every environment and whatever we are exposed to on frequent note has impact or influence on us. But we have people, you and I know that there are people who came from a very good home, and they have questionable character?
Well, I would attribute that to the individual themselves, because I believe they are, like, I for one, I came from a home that can, to some extent, I can say is toxic.
Okay.
But I am intentional not to allow it, because I believe that when you allow people's attitude mold a beast out of you, then you have not done well. So I weigh whatever that goes in. I can see that something is wrong. And instantly I would tell myself, no, you will not allow this to affect you in any negative way. Instead, I will channel it into a good cause. So I think a lot of the society will throw a lot of things at us, including the families that we grow up in. But it is left to us as an individual to sieve whatever we allow to come in. So their children, that's what you think people say that pastors' children are wayward, pastors' children are bad. But I know a lot of pastors' children that are godly, doing beautiful things. So it is left to the individual to sieve whatever it is that they allow to come into them. But whether directly or indirectly, people learn things. If you see, okay, there was a time we had the conversation on this lifestyle segment of some ladies who are saying they can't date quiet guys because the toxicity, they are used to being toxic. They want to prove the Ogbanje spirit in them. If you trace those kind of ladies, if you trace them back to the fact that they were raised from a very toxic home. So that has shaping their mindset, their mentality indirectly, that if a man loves you, he has to lay hands on you. If a man loves you, he has to beat you up.
This mindset of no grief for anybody.
So exactly. That was the word they used, no grief for anybody. So indirectly, that mindset as is in them. So to some extent, like just like you have rightly stated, it is not entirely true that children learn, but 90%, nobody made that statistics, but you can see that children who are raised from a beautiful home, where they see the father loving their mother, the father being romantic, all joyful, they grew up. It is not easy for children of such home for them to go outside and you see a man saying that if you love me, you come to my house. If you love me, you have sex with me. No. Because they see this hugging as a normal thing. They see giving out money to the person you love as a normal thing. So it is not easy to entice such people. So it is left to the individual to sieve those things. So you can.
Okay. In addition to how we can correct this error, I'm taking it from grassroots. First of all, if you have a mindset of good home, it begins with the mind first. You must picture the way you want your children to behave.
Of course.
If you as a man or as a lady, you have that mind of, I want this, how I want my kid. I want godly kids. I want kids who are well cultured. You must look for partner with same mind.
Of course.
There is this saying, sometimes we are the architect of our problem. It has been said, birds of the same feather should flock together. All right. There are people who want it. Like, I can't imagine myself now, doing some kind of things publicly just in the name of I love you. I mustn't, sometimes you see some men doing so many nasty things in the name of I love you. And when you check, you discover that the love is not even genuine. All right. They can do anything with a lady out there, hold them anyhow. That is not a validation for true love. Now, but what am I trying to say? You need to, before you go deep in a relationship, before you go down to the altar with any man, there is need for alignment. Alignment in way of raising kids. This discussion need to come in while both of you are courting. Like, you can, based on your mind, you can just throw it as a question, make it a conversation. And from the answers he will give to you, you should know that this person, it seems we have the same mind. Because if I was in a place one day, and I was there, a man got a call. I think from the conversation, I can figure out that maybe the mother called him, the wife called him, and after the conversation, or while the conversation was going on, he said something. I think there was a report that the kids were sent back from school. He said something. He said, if they have been sent back from school, let them stay at home. After all, my own parents didn't send me to school. I can't come and kill myself.
Mm.
All right. So that is the mindset.
Exactly.
His own parent did send him to school. So he has even tried. Maybe the
Just
children have finished a
imagine.
primary school. To him, if he has done
He has done
so
his
much.
best.
All right. So, but if you have people who, if this conversation has been, you will know that whether the parents, there are people who have vowed that in as much as they could not go to school because their parents didn't send them to school, that nothing will make their children not to go to
You
school.
see, I see something from what you said. People need to spot the problems in their life, heal from it, build the right mindset before you come and use your own to affect another woman
Imagine.
or another man you are getting married to or the children. Because I sense something in this conversation. He is yet to heal. For instance, yesterday at the interview, the guy was, I told him, I said, I'm going to be 100% vulnerable with you. That in this conversation, I'm going to use my life experience as an instance. I came from a home that my father was a Muslim. As at the time I gained admission, he was not ready to say. He said when I converted, it was almost at the same time that I gained admission. He said, if you will not stop being a Christian, choose between going to school or be a Christian. But I said, I will choose to be a Christian. So he said, then forget about your admission. It got so bad that my father disowned me. I said, no, I would go to school. I went to a part-time school because I know what I wanted for myself. The fact that my father said he won't send me to school does not mean that I shouldn't make that effort. I can decide to blame my father. I can decide to blame my background, but I choose not to because I know what I envisioned for myself. So people need to heal. If you know, like I'm an advocate for self-awareness. Be aware of the problems in your life. Deal with it. Don't carry that problem and go and affect another man. If you know you are not healed from certain experience that you have had as a child, don't go to marriage with it. Don't go and use your own to affect the woman or the man you are getting married to. Don't use your own to affect the children you will bear from it. You see parents, they'll say, if not for you, if not that, it is because of you, these children that are right now. So you can decide to leave the marriage. So why put the blame on the children? So I sense a mindset, and if people don't have the right orientation, if they continue, it will keep having after effect. It will boomerang on the children, and at the end, we'll keep on raising dysfunctional children. Those children will get married and keep on raising dysfunctional children. So I think we should eat more on mindset shifts.
Mindset. Oh,
We should
yeah.
eat more on that.
That is the genesis of it all.
Yeah.
All right, because the word of God said that if the what will the righteous do? Once there is faulty foundation, it spreads. It does not just spread. It moves from one person to another
Of course,
person.
then it becomes a culture.
And I also want people to understand. I told somebody, or I made a post one day that for the sake of the innocent kids you are going to bring to this life, be careful of who you choose to be your future partner, because you are not just going to suffer the effect.
Of course.
Those innocent kids, and sometimes you see these people with wrong mindset. They are the one that have the intention of raising many children. Right? They want to populate Nigeria. You know, they want to make Nigeria the largest country in Africa. You see, there's a woman that gave birth to, is it 24? How many? You know, I don't know how it happened. You know, so what am I trying to say? For the sake, as a woman, it begins with you. I'm very, very intentional. Like, seriously, I don't want. There are certain things that I do not want to be seen in my family. In as much as sometimes children can go out of track, but let it be that it can be said that yes, you know. Funny enough, when you come across kids or people who went out off track from their family upbringing, they will tell you. They will always say that I came from a very godly home. I don't know if you have come across people. They will tell you. So they know that normally when we grow to a certain age, we have the power of making our choice, to choosing our own way of life. But it will be said of them that my parents, they are very good parents. So for the sake of these kids, you know, before, you know, the word of God said, even while we are yet sinner, God loved us. So even before the coming to life of these kids, love them enough to to make a good choice of a father or a mother for them, so that they don't come to this life to begin to suffer financial issues, suffer good parenting. You know, it is not, there are people who have this money and they lack good parenting mindset. So parenting is not about having everything and providing everything. As a matter of fact, providing everything for a child at the wrong time will kill that child. Just imagine you have a little child, and just because you say you love him and you have every resources, you give him the key to your car in a very wrong age. That person will need to prepare for the grave of that child. So what am I trying to say? It begins with you as a woman. It begins with you as a man. The mindset, like mind, the law of attraction, according to science, say like poles attract. Like poles attract. So let it be that whoever you are meeting with, you are going to. That is why it is said that not all relationship must lead to marriage. If in course of the relationship discover that there is no alignment of purpose, career-wise, parenting-wise, then it should be made known to you that this marriage is the type that this relationship is the type that shouldn't lead to marriage, because it will affect you, and you will not be the only one to suffer it. It will affect the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my take on this is that people should learn to live in the future. What do I mean by that? You see, there is a way you practice parenting even before you have a child. I tell people, you don't have to wait until you have your children before you start learning how to parent, right?
Sure.
I work in the teaching sector for approximately 5 years. And teaching sector is how to manage children, different type of children, the
with funny behaviors.
With funny behaviors, the one from age 0 to 5, age 5 to 10, age 10 to 18. Yes, I had an adult in my class then who was 20 years old, then in GSS 3, as at the time I was teaching. So I work with this variety of children, and I discovered that you don't handle them the same way. So that was my 5 years experience as a teacher. Helped me to converse with children better. There are things that some of these children will discuss with you, and they can't even discuss it with their parents. There are
because of how free you are with him.
Exactly. There are so many parenting techniques I learned with those children. So I use them as dressing rehearsal. The first thing I ask myself is, if it had been your child that did this, what would you have done? So those children, for that 5 years, for the space of that 5 years, they taught me the right way to parent, the right way to approach problems, the right way to deal with children, because the right way to attract the one that is introverted, the right way to approach the one that is extroverted, the right way to approach those ones that are so conservative. So I lived in the future. I envisioned it. I know I may not get those kind of children, but at least they have given me an experience of how to treat children. So even as an unmarried man, as an unmarried lady, you can use the children around you as dress rehearsals.
Yeah.
You don't say that this child is misbehaving and you close your eyes to it and say, after all, it's not my child, it's a business. No, you don't do that. You call their attention to it. Talk to them the way you would have to your children. Discipline them the way you would have to your children. Because one thing about children is that they are more open to somebody who can see things from their perspective. So I act like them first. I act like a monkey to catch the monkey.
Sure.
Act like them, then I catch them. So you don't wait until you are 100% married, you're 10 years in marriage, 20 years in marriage before you start learning. As you learn from book, there are indirect ways of learning.
It's true.
Indirect way of even putting all the things that you have learned into practice. So my own take for parents is, or for people, for the unmarried, is that they should live in the future. Don't wait for the time that you have your children before you practice parenting. Even while you are yet to have those children, practice parenting with kids around you.
In the church, you know,
exactly, you have all these children around.
Yeah. There will always be children everywhere.
Of course. So you have to learn to practice all of those things, because you see that the mode of parenting now is that you see parents that they have their children living with them. You just see that the only thing is, have you eaten? Have you? I grew up with a mother that my mom was a father and a mother at the same time. Our concern is, I want my children to be all right. I want them to eat. I want them to be satisfied. But there were some things I was going through emotionally that she wasn't aware of. So when I see children that are more conservative, I approach them. I try to reason with them. You don't have to tell me what you are going through, but I make myself free with them to the point that at some point you would want to talk to me.
You. Yeah.
So these are things that are lacking in our homes. And as a youth, as an unmarried person, I am more intentional to focus on those core areas that I lack as a child while growing up, to ensure that I bring all of those things for my children. But I like to hear your final take, because we cannot deliberate all on this conversation. But let me hear your final take on this story.
You see, first of all, I want to begin by saying that to our viewers, in case this error has been in place already, it can be corrected. They say a problem becomes a problem when people see it as a problem. And once a thing has been identified to be a problem, the next thing is, what is the way out? For there is always a way out for any identified problem. All right. I want to use my last born, my sister, for an instance. You know, this last born and the way mothers used to pet them, and sometimes in the process
spoil. Last born, I not get this kind of experience. So
my sister was so, let me not use the word spoiled. You know, she was too pampered. You don't beat her. You know, don't touch my child as if we are stick. You know,
Father
so
Lord.
it happened that
I had this
it became a problem. She was used to that lifestyle. They don't beat her, and I left my hometown, the family, when I was still very tender. So all my lifestyle, my growing up was in the city. So when she had to, I think she came to stay with me. It was problem. You know, I based on what the culture, I've been groomed by the grace of God. I've stayed with series of my brothers in the city with different experience. So I was trying to, you know, mold her the right way. So she was not seeing my right way as the right way. She was seeing my right way as me trying to punish her, as me trying to. So, but thank God for the wisdom of God. I was tolerant enough to understand that it is difficult to remold. All right. So, but the thing now, something happened recently. You know, they've been issue, and recently we were together, and she knelt down. She was crying. She was apologizing. She said, "But I thank you so much for all you've done for me. All the advice. Among the siblings, I've been the only one. Sometimes I wake up in the midnight and talk to her. I say, if I tell you I love you, the love I have for you cannot be compared to what any guy out there will give to you. I say, I want you to be fine, because I believe that it is better to be at the giving side than being at the receiving side. And nothing good come by chance. You must plan your life to have a good life. You know, all these things, sometimes after morning devotion, sometimes, you know, I just, when everywhere is quiet. So, because I know what I want for her. All right. So if she doesn't have a good life, she'll be a burden on me, and I can't say no to her. You know. So, but what am I trying to say? With time, she has realized it. Now, what I want to say, if you have identified, if this has been going on in your home, it is a problem. It is a problem. How you raise your kids matter. But if that is why we have reverse gear in every car. If you have been on the wrong track, once you notice you are not going, you make a U-turn. So my advice and my final note to our viewers, as parents already, it's good to have good conduct imbibed in your children. They will equally transfer it to their own kids. All right. There should be no form of segregation. All right. Nothing happened with the man sweeping the house, mobbing the house. Once it's weekend and everyone is at home, nothing happened to that. It should not be gender issue that the man must be the one.
It should not be gender war.
You know, so you don't make somebody feel like, why am I even born in this family? Why am I? Especially when you happen to be the only female child in the midst of guys. I don't know if you have seen that scenario.
Exactly.
Whereby maybe you are the only female.
Everything.
And now it happened that maybe you are the first child. Other ones are a kind of junior siblings. you have to do so many things just because you are the female child. It is an error. And if you are a new couple, no kids yet, know if that in that house it's just two of you. The house belongs to both of you. So they don't stress you. I love to see my partner looking sharp so that even after kids we can still go out looking fresh. Don't stress the woman. If she's making soup, do the eba, do the semo. After which, there's no law that says the woman must be the one to clear the dish. Right? There is this happiness, there is this joy in a woman's heart when you are doing this thing. She will love you. She will love you. Okay, if you come back home before your wife, just imagine Lagos traffic. You are working in somewhere like Aja. Your wife is working somewhere like VI or Lekki, and it happens that you come back home and you can cook. Do the cooking. Let it be that you are cooking and she meets you. She'll be very happy. She'll be very happy. So all I'm trying to say is that marriage is partnership. Every work that need to make it to work should be equal tax.
Exactly.
All right, depending on your area of strength, contribute.
All right. I say my final take on this is that the wall of myth in Africa needs to be pulled down. It is myth.
The wall of
myth. MYTH.
Okay.
That wall needs to be pulled down. You see, it is myth that will make you say that when you wash your wife's clothes, that means
she's using you.
She's using your head.
Just imagine you are washing your white on this.
That she will use your head. That you will not be successful. All of those myths will help a woman in the kitchen. That means she has given you vegetable to eat. All of these things. There are a lot of African myths that need to be pulled down. And for the sake of the children that you will raise, you need to be great mentors. I was in a church one day. Okay, I think somebody was sharing it with me that she was at the church, and the children, they were asking, who is your role model? They were mentioning these secular music artists, all these porn stars and all of that. And she was wondering that these children, their parents were pastors, their parents were leaders. How come your parents are not your role model? How come it is people who are doing so many things that are your role model? So you must work with the consciousness that you are the first role model to your children, and you don't want to lay the bad example for them. Even the word of God, Jesus himself said, if you are my follower, you will follow my example. He laid the example for them. So as parents, you must lay the example for your children, and know that at one point or the other, your children should be able to say that I am glad my parents raised me.
Or even thank God for the parents they have.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that one day we'll have a robust conversation on so many myths in Africa that need to be destroyed. Who made those rules? I don't know. But for now, this is all that we can take on this segment. Thank you all so much for staying tuned with us. We hope that you've been able to take one or two lessons from this conversation. Before we leave the studio, please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, Prime Media TV, Instagram and TikTok, Prime Media Studios, on the website where you're watching us. We are enginespeak.com. You can do well to follow us on YouTube at Engine Speak. I am Ayo, your girl for right here at Prime Media TV. Till I come your way again on Friday. Do have a great day. Bye.